then?" Fresh tears prick my eyes at the thought that Papa should think such a thing. "Of course." Papa nods. "Very well, then." I spend hours in the kitchen garden and make much of Bianca that afternoon, holding her in my lap and petting her soft white feathers. She is content to nestle against me in the hot sun. Claudio struts nearby, pecks at the dirt, and looks askance at us. I wish that Papa's spell called for a rooster, but that is a piece of foolishness. Were it not for Claudio, there would be no chicks in the offing. Such is the way of the world. In the small hours of the night, a storm breaks over the island. Gales of wind howl through the palace. Outside its walls, jagged spears of lightning pierce the heavens as the rains lash down. The distant sea must be wave-tossed and raging, a thought that fills me with unspeakable terror. I cower beneath my bed linens and think about the wild boy, wondering where he takes shelter from the storm. I wonder if he is as frightened as I am. Outside the palace wall in the front courtyard, the spirit trapped in the pine tree begins to wail, awakened by the storm. It is a terrible sound, keening and filled with fury and anguish. Papa should like to free the spirit, for he believes it is far more powerful than any of the simple elementals, but thus far he has been unable to find the key to the curse that binds it, and I am secretly grateful for it. I huddle on my pallet, pull the linens over my head, and wait for the storm to pass. In time it does. The wind ceases to roar, and the dinning rains lessen to a patter. The spirit in the pine falls silent, and I sleep. I awaken to Papa giving me a gentle shake in the grey darkness before the dawn. "Miranda," he says, "it is time." The air smells of wet stone and dust. I suppose dust is no longer dust when it is wet, but it has the same smell, which is different from the smell of soil or mud. Papa is clad in white robes trimmed with pale blue and silver embroidery. I cannot see the colour in the dim light, but the silver thread glints, and I know the other is pale blue. There are pouches strung from his belt, and the hilt of a dagger protrudes from it. He carries his wooden staff as well as a little silver bowl that hangs from a chain. The latter sways as he walks, smoke trickling from holes that pierce the lid so that I know the bowl contains embers. In the garden outside the kitchen, the patchy grass is wet beneath my bare feet. When Papa bids me retrieve Bianca, I weep silently, but I do not disobey. Bianca clucks in sleepy protest, but she suffers me to wrap her in the folds of my makeshift gown and bind her wings at her sides. Holding her fast, I follow Papa through the palace gate and into the front courtyard where the great pine stands. Another time, it would gladden my heart to be allowed to attend Papa in the practice of his art, but I cannot be glad today. Not with Bianca cradled, trusting in my arms, and the memory of the storm's fury and the pine spirit's cries ringing in my ears. At least the spirit remains quiet as Papa turns to face the eastern sky behind the palace and chants the music of the spheres. Papa's deep voice makes the air tremble, and it trembles twice over as the planets in their distant spheres pour down their emanations in response, and the rising sun turns the sky to gold. It is impossible to remain unmoved at the beauty of it, but when it is over, he turns to me. "Now you must give me the hen and tend to the thurible," he says to me, tucking his staff in the crook of his arm and putting out one hand. I pass Bianca carefully to Papa. He tucks her against his side and gives me the hanging bull's chain to hold. Thurible. So that is its name. I clutch the chain tightly and look away as Bianca begins to struggle. At least her end is a swift one. Out of the corner of one eye, I see Papa.